Hey, what's up, guys? It's ElasticSpyder here, and today I have a very different video. We've posted a few of these previously on our channel, but haven't done one recently. And today's video is about German destroyers. Yes, it's German destroyer time, but not yet. The images have been released, but they have not been confirmed as to when they will be in the game. But it's nice to know that they will eventually be in the game, hopefully pretty soon. Don't know if they're going to come after the Japanese destroyers or before them. I'm not really sure, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I have done some research for you guys, so a few things I want to get out of the way. First, all my images that I'm going to be putting on screen are from the dailybounce.net. Most of you might know this website. It's pretty popular among the World of Warships communities and also World of Tanks community. And then I will be posting, so I'll leave that link in the description. All links are in the description. And then from my research, I've done my best to do some pretty decent research. I've tried to match the image that I've seen on the website and kind of match them with the pictures provided by Wargaming, and hopefully try to do the best that I can. And so I'll leave all those in the description for all of the ships. Another thing I want to point out is that some of the research, they might not exactly match the German destroyers that will be in game, so please don't be mad at me if something isn't exactly correct, because this is kind of it's a test video, I guess you could say. So none of these statistics are confirmed. They're just me doing my own personal research and kind of sharing it with you guys. So the first one starts at tier 2. It is called the V-25. Now, in real life, this was a ship built for the Imperial German Navy, also called the Kaiserreich Marine, and this was a pretty classic torpedo boat, and it was eventually scuttled with the rest of the German fleet at Scapa Flow. It served in World War I in the North Sea and Baltic Sea, so some of the kind of background on this ship is that. Something interesting, much like the Tachibana that has 76mm guns, this one has 88mm guns, 3.5 inches. It's not the best, but since it is a pretty classic torpedo boat, it has 6 20-inch torpedo tubes, so that should be pretty interesting. Can't really see them in the images provided, but it looks like they are some single launchers. Probably it looks like one right in front and then some in the middle. But that just about does it for the tier 2. Moving on to the tier 3, the G101. This is again a World War I destroyer built for the Kaiserreich Marine, or Germany otherwise known. According to this website, maximum speed is 33.5 knots. Again, it gets 88mm guns, so the gun performance isn't too good yet. It will get better, but not yet. Again, 88mm, 4 guns in single turrets. But again, it gets the 20-inch torpedoes of 500mm torpedo tubes. And it says here 2x1 and 2x2, so we'll have to wait and see if that is confirmed. As we can see here, it's kind of hard to see, but it does look like that is confirmed. It almost looks like a cruiser. It looks a bit big. Some of the images that Wargaming has provided to us, they are a little, I guess, out of scale. Moving on to the V-170 destroyer, again built for the Kaiserreich Marine, for Germany. I apologize for any of my pronunciations. I am not German. It's not my my native language, so apologize for any mispronunciations. This is again another torpedo ship. In terms of speed, 35 knots. Um, Length is 92.5 meters, I'm assuming. Um, but it does get 105 millimeter guns, so finally 4-inch guns, or a little over 4 inches, but it gets 4 of them in single turrets, so it's again something I don't really like too much. I do like those dual or triple turrets, but destroyers are not to see that too often. But in terms of torpedo armament, again the 2x2 and then a 2x1, 500 millimeters, so 20-inch torpedo tubes. Interesting to see how the damage plots will turn out for these torpedo tubes, since um, they are slightly better. Like, I'm not too sure as how they'll perform compared to the Japanese or the American or even the Russian torpedoes. If they're anything like the higher tier German torpedoes, they are very, very potent, and they will do lots of damage when you hit several of them. So this is also another thing I'd like to note is on the image there are the 2 torpedo tubes in the center of the ship are split. So I'm not too sure if that's a new animation that Wargaming are adding, so that when you select widespread, the torpedoes will shoot out at a wider angle, or if that's actually what the it's like a new mechanic or something that's in game. So just have to wait and see. Of course, the next ship is the tier. What is this? Tier 2, 3, 4, 5. It is the tier 5. This is again where one place, there's a few more coming up, where I haven't fully confirmed that these are the ships that I am researching. I kind of tried my best to match the image provided by Wargaming and match it with some statistics and some images that I've seen, and try and see how those compare. I did my best. But the T-22, again, was an Elbing class torpedo boat under the actually Kriegsmarine during World War II. 15 of these warships were served for the Kriegsmarine, and it actually did go up against the British. The Elbings being fewer in number and they have slightly smaller caliber and guns compared to the British counterparts. That is something that is a main difference. They served mainly in the Baltic Sea, and they were effective fighting vessels. A notable success, according to Wikipedia, was that they sunk the HMS Charybdis, which is a British light cruiser, and that escort, the HMS Limborn, which would be a destroyer. So that's kind of interesting. I'm curious as to how the gun performance will be, since they did destroy destroyers and a light cruiser. So wonder how potent the AP is going to be, if it's going to stick to that trend of having great AP like most of the German ships do, and how those arcs are going to be, if they're going to be flat. That's what I would assume, or if they're going to be a little bit more lazy like the Americans. So it's interesting to see. But the T-22 in specific was commissioned in 1942 and was eventually sunk on the 18th of August 1944 by a mine in the Baltic Sea. Some statistics, some speed, 32.5 knots. So again, it's a little bit on the slower side, but at tier 5 it's not too worrisome. But it does have 4-inch guns, 4 of them, and it gets 21-inch torpedo tubes, 6 of them, so slightly larger torpedo armament, but pretty much the same caliber guns. So that is good. Now moving on to the tier 6, the Ernst Guide. I'm not too sure, but this is another ship where I kind of struggled to find exact statistics on the ship. I presume that this was kind of based off of blueprints and wasn't actually developed. It's kind of what it says here, but the one that I'm going off of is the Zerstruer. So apologize for that, but that's what I'm going to be going off of, just for the fact that that's what a lot of the statistics that I see here. I tried to match them with the images provided. You can see that it has 5 guns, so I tried to match that with 5 guns and that sort of thing. Of course, there's variants and that sort of thing. So, but it is a pretty speedy destroyer, 36 knots, 5 5-inch guns. Again, the 21-inch torpedoes, and in a combination of 2x4. So that means there's 2 torpedo launchers with 4 torpedo tubes each. So, and we can definitely see those where they would be going on the ElasticSpyder. So, one of the ships that I have actually found pretty good Wikipedia page on is the Lerect Mas, but this, again, all the links will be in the description, just so you guys can go check them out. And the Liebrecht was a Type 34 destroyer built for the Kriegsmarine during the 30s. So this is a pre-World War II destroyer, but it did serve in World War II. Several days after the start of World War II, she unsuccessfully attacked together with another destroyer, Polish ships anchored at the naval base Hell Peninsula. So it does have some significance. She either later she either drifted into a newly laid British minefield, or again it was hit by bombs and broke in half with the loss of a lot of her crew. So a bit unfortunate for that, but you have to, it happens. So, but this is again one of the bigger ships. It looks like it could be the angle from which the picture was taken, but this does look like a slightly bigger destroyer. So, in terms of propulsion, we are looking at 36 knots, which again is quite good. Slightly higher than the Americans, but slightly less than the Russians. But that's kind of to be expected. 5 single 5-inch guns, pretty standard for a destroyer. The Russians do get slightly higher caliber, but what are you gonna do? Again, it gets 2x4 quadruple, 2x4 quadruple, 2x4 21-inch torpedo tubes, and that's pretty much going to continue throughout the rest of the German destroyer line. You'll be seeing the 2x4 quite a bit. Excuse me. Now looking at the Tier 8, this is the Z-23, another ship that I kind of had some trouble finding, but according to this site, it was built for the Kriegsmarine and was a torpedo ship, pretty classic torpedo ship. The Z-23 had a few sisters, looks like 6, but in terms of her fate, she was, it says here that she was, where is it? She was damaged by British aircraft off the western coast of France and was ultimately broken up in 1951. So she did survive the war, but she didn't see that much service. But she did go through some refitting and modernization, so we'll kind of be curious as to what they will be, what upgrades will we see for in game. We could see higher caliber guns, so maybe going from 5 inches as as listed here, up to 5 inches, and then going up to 6 inches as listed here. So this is one of the first ships that gets 6-inch guns. Only 4 guns in single turret brackets, but hey, I don't mind that. Again, the 2x4 torpedo tubes, the 21-inch ones, so 36 knots again, pretty standard for a tier 8 destroyer. Again, it's between the Americans and the Russians. Moving on to the tier 9, the pretty sexy looking Z-46. One thing I want to note about this is, look, I believe this is a tier 9, so I'm going to assume and I'm going to guesstimate that the ship in the background of this image is a Fletcher class destroyer. It could be a Benson, but I'm pretty sure it's a Fletcher, just by the shape of the ship. I'm going to assume that that's a Fletcher. Again, it's at tier 9, so I've got reason to. Something I want to point out is the length of this ship. Again, there could be some camera trickery, but this ship looks very, very long, almost as long as even like a light cruiser. So that is huge. I mean, that's crazy how big this thing is, compared to this Fletcher. But another interesting point is that if you look at the turret setup, it's 1 in the front and 2 in the rear. The 2 in the rear are super firing. So again, something interesting, something like the Rune, which has a very similar turret setup. It's probably better to kite. Again, this might go hand in hand with the amazing gun arcs that supposedly these ships might have if they follow that German trend of pretty good accuracy and pretty flat gun arcs. But we can see that it's up close and personal. I don't know if that's just for show, but we'll see if they're going to be very good up and close. As I said, these do get 5-inch guns though, and 3x2 turret setup. I don't know if again they will be able to upgrade to 6-inch guns, because those guns do look a little bit bigger than 5 inches, but I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. 37.5 knots, not bad. Gets the 21-inch torpedoes and the 2x4 setup. So pretty standard. Again, I told you guys that it would be that sort of thing. One thing I do want to point out is the new feature of these destroyers were the new and very successful dual-purpose guns that this ship offered. So that is pretty interesting, because like the American destroyers, they have dual-purpose guns, so they shoot both anti-aircraft. They are anti-aircraft guns as well as anti-ship guns. So. But this ship was eventually suspended in 1944. But that just about does it for the tier 9. And finally, we have the great tier 10, the Z52. The Z52. This thing looks pretty damn big, I have to say. Again, camera trickery could be a possible cause of this, but in terms of speed, 37.5 knots. Again, 3x2 5-inch guns. Could have the bigger variant of the 6-inch guns. Don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what Wargaming does with this. The AA is actually pretty interesting. It's got 55 millimeters, 30 millimeter, and 103 millimeter flak. I believe I got all those numbers right. You guys can go check that out below. Again, the 21-inch torpedoes and the 2x4 setup. This is the most modern German destroyer of the World War II era. It was diesel powered and armed with guns that they say of the new generation. And they claim this because it says that there's optical and electronic rangefinders. So we'll have to see how accurate that is and how that will kind of play into the actual game itself. But the building rate of these ships was very slow because of the size and shortage of materials, and they ended up being suspended and later canceled. And but that just about does it for the Z52. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys learned something, please subscribe to our channel. We don't usually do these videos, but when we do, I feel like they're very informative and very awesome. So please leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Leave your comments down below if you think I missed anything or what have you. If you just want to say hello, go ahead. But subscribe for more content on our channel. We do reviews, all sorts of things, just community replays and general ship commentary. So if you guys you want to see more of that content, please subscribe. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you all later.